Hey, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
What's your name?
Brian Griffin.
All right, so I'm gonna ask you some questions about COVID-19. How did you feel about COVID-19 when it first began?
Considering that I've been in the military before, I have seen diseases in different countries that broke out. The last one being in Africa, um, which was a virus that broke out during um, about 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. I don't recall exactly what the virus was, but I knew it was a serious issue if it was coming up through the WHO World Organization.
Was it Ebola virus?
Yes, it was the Ebola virus.
Okay. Um, did you think that this virus would be real or fake? COVID-19?
Normally, when something's put out in the news on a continual basis, if you have any doubt that it was fake, eventually it would lead one to think that it's real.
Yeah. Um, did you have any family or friends infected by COVID-19?
No, I haven't so far. No one that I know in the direct family has been affected. Some of my coworkers that work up in Huntsville have been affected or have been or think that they've been affected, and they've been sent home from work for either 14 days or for a 21-day period, depending on if it was one of their family members or if it was one of their neighbors.
What methods did they use to recover, and how? Yeah, what methods did they use to recover?
Most of them were just trying to boost their immune system. They, of course, started off with taking the testing, a lot of rest, and a lot of keeping hydrated was primarily what most of them told me they were doing.
Mm-hmm. How did COVID-19 affect your summer and your spring breaks?
So for me, I was out of work, which I work up in Huntsville, which is about a 1 hour and 45-minute drive each way. They reduced the staff on the construction site where I was working, and they let people start coming in starting once a week. Then it moved up to 50% of the people working, and now it's up to about 75% of the people working. But with COVID coming back again over the winter time, they may have to start taking some steps back down to 50% of the people, then back down to maybe 25% or lower.
Mm-hmm. So, did you have any plans or anything that you had for this summer or this spring break that were that you had to turn down because of the coronavirus?
So in September, we're planning to go to Spain on a cruise, my wife and myself, and we had to go ahead and cancel that travel arrangement back in the June time frame because we knew that COVID was going to be around for a while.
Mm-hmm. How did COVID-19 affect your son's 2020 graduation and prom at your school? At his school.
I think he was a little bit disappointed that he was unable to go to his prom, especially his prom date was very upset. Whereas for my son, he just wanted to work and get out into the workforce. So he was kind of happy to get away from school. I think he missed some of his friends initially, but once he got to working and making some money, he was more satisfied with that. Then his focus then turned to going to college.
Mm-hmm. How did COVID-19 affect your parents' work lives?
My parents live in Milledgeville, Georgia. They are both retired. They no longer work anymore. So some of the local activities that was going on in Milledgeville, Georgia, they are no longer actively participating in it. They're doing things more over Zoom and over the internet now as they communicate with my son, myself, and family.
Okay. Um, and why did it affect your wife's work life?
So my wife used to work for someone for the state of Alabama. Excuse me, and she decided that she had a second job, which she's able to work from home right now. So she decided to let her job with her coworkers go and then do her own personal business full time since she's a counselor.
Okay. And how does she perform business now versus how she would have before?
Most of her business is performed over the telephone or over Zoom or Skype or one of the internet providers.
Mm-hmm.
She has very little person-to-person engagement, though she still maintains an office in Birmingham.
Okay. What was your life like before COVID-19 versus after?
It's kind of busy working, excuse me, on a construction project up in Huntsville. And just doing day-to-day routine things weekly. May go out to dinner, may go to a movie, may go to do something at a store or something like that.
And how is your life impacted now with those things that you do on a daily basis versus how you used to do them? Like go to the store, like the movies and gas station, going out to eat and everything.
So now you have to be cautious and everything needs to be planned for what you are gonna do. Try to spend minimal time inside of a store. Make sure that you have your mask on. Make sure that you're keeping your distancing from people. Making sure that, of course, you test your temperature and you're aware of your surroundings, especially if people are coughing or look sick, or and make sure that you take wipes and other things to make sure that you are disinfecting the areas that you touch.
How did COVID-19 affect fall sports and other events held in the fall?
So my son was able to complete the football season, and he was looking forward to either doing wrestling or doing weightlifting. And it was affected because most of those sports were canceled due to COVID and due to the schools closing.
What about sports at the pro level?
Sports at the pro level, I watch primarily pro football, and pro football has been affected just due to the teams all being spread out throughout the United States, and those teams each are located in hot areas, which most of the hot areas for COVID are those larger cities. And once it gets started there, it's pretty much any of their family members or whatever could catch it. So it's been affecting football overall immensely, which may end up having to even cancel the season sometime.
What do they do differently versus what they used to do for these pro football games?
Well, a lot of the things are now done via internet, and they try to talk to people again with the Zoom, with Skype, etc., and try to teach them plays, teamwork. They try to minimize contact. They're required to wear a face mask out on the field. Before the game, after the game, if they're not playing, they're supposed to be wearing face masks and so on, including the referees.
Mm-hmm. What safety precautions do you guys take at your job?
At my job, our safety precautions are we have to wear a mask if we're away from our desk at any time. While we're sitting at our desk, we could have the mask off. Any other time when we go to the bathroom, we need need to use sanitary wipes. And for anything that we touch, we need to sanitize when we go to work and when we leave work, our desk and work areas. If there is a COVID identified case within our workspace that we work, then all of us are asked to leave the place, and the place is disinfected that day. Normally takes about 1 or 2 hours right now.
Mm-hmm. Will you take the COVID-19 vaccine as soon as there is one developed? Why or why not?
I probably will take the COVID-19 vaccine when it first comes out. Probably not. I'm sure that healthcare workers, and I'm sure that there's other needy people that need it more than I do up front. Once the vaccine becomes available, I'm sure that it's been then tried out on quite a few people. So should have no issues taking it by then.
Do you believe that that the COVID-19 vaccine, that the people that don't want to take it think like they don't trust the government?
There's been a lot of misinformation that's been put out about the vaccine. So it's hard to determine who is telling the truth about what. Of course, my wife recommends that you go to the CSC to gather any information that you have on that. So they should be putting out probably the most current and safe information for you to follow.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that the 2020 election, the result of whoever comes to whoever has become the president, do you think that will have a huge impact on COVID-19?
Yes, it will. Because you have one candidate that does not recognize COVID-19 as an issue. They'll rather have it just naturally spread and let it naturally come to its conclusion until the vaccine is developed. Whereas the other candidate seems to be a little bit more aggressive. He wants to try to minimize the effects of the COVID virus by having people wear masks, continuing social distancing, and closing down places that people don't need to congregate if they believe that will be a super spreader event.
Mm-hmm. Do you think another shutdown would help the economy or hurt the economy more? And do you think that it'll be worth, do you think it'll be worth it trying to save the lives of the people?
So lives are something that you can't get back. Once you lose it, you're gone. You're gone, whether that's your mother, whether that's your father, grandfather, etc. So I think there's certain businesses that, such as clubs, such as indoor eating places, possibly restaurants, that if they're not properly adhering to the laws that are needed to, or I shouldn't say laws, to the guidance that's been put out by the CSC, then they need to, they may need to be shut down, some of those businesses. It's just, right now, we just need to get through the winter and see what the spring and what the summer has in store for us.
Okay. Did COVID-19 affect your business?
My personal business is a digital business that I do, and no, it has not.
That's good. What's my next question? Did COVID-19 affect your income at all?
For me, no, it did not affect my income.
Okay.
And that's just because I'm working for a federal agency.
Yeah. what do you think that the current president could do to help like slow down COVID-19 cases?
Well, wearing a mask is obviously something that's been asked of for the American public to do. Whether that is totally helping or not is up to, I guess, the numbers to show that. But following some of the science that's been put out is probably something that really needs to be done by the current president. Statistics, other things that you learn, and higher education is always helpful to individuals.
Mm-hmm. Um, do you know anybody that COVID-19 has put them out the job? Put them
No.
out of a job? Yeah. How do you think that the upcoming president, like, what's the first thing you think he should do once he get in office when it comes to the coronavirus?
First thing, he needs to meet with the experts and determine exactly what the game plan is going to be. But things need to be step by step laid out for this is how we're going to get through this situation that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
Whether that begins with a mask, which is simple, to moving on to other things until the drugs are adhered to.
Mm-hmm. What do you think the reasons of the current spikes of COVID-19 are?
Lack of socialization, lack of maintaining social distancing, and lack of wearing a mask. It's definitely been identified as a spreader. People getting too close together, whether they're traveling in planes, trains, cars, or families intermixing that live in different cities. Because each city has, again, its own hot spots going on throughout the year.
So do you believe that people aren't taking it as serious as they should?
I think that people are misinformed. Depends on where they get their information from. Everything is not fake news that's out there. Some of the stuff is real. It's your responsibility as an adult, as a human, to think that you would care for your fellow human that's out there with you.
Do you think opening schools has increased the cases, the COVID-19 cases?
Opening schools may help with increasing the spread of the disease. However, it also comes with other implications, such as parents not being able to work, especially if you were if both of your parents worked prior to COVID-19 coming on. So how are you going to make up the difference in that income? So I say schools are at least an outlet. They understand some of the safety requirements, but the teachers also are at risk while people are still going back to school.
Mm-hmm. So do you think that there should be more online learning for kids or in-person learning?
So in-person learning is always the best thing to do because you're able to ask questions, which you can ask over the internet. But there's that human interaction once you're face-to-face with someone versus having a computer in between both of you.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that face-to-face learning is probably the best thing. However, we need to make it through the situation that we're in right now.
Yeah. Do you think a lot of people have lost trust and faith in the government?
A lot of misinformation's been put out about things, whether it's good, bad, or irrelevant, whether it's your religion or religious beliefs versus science, which seems to both be in conflict with each other. So I would say yes, there's just a bunch of misinformation being put out. It seems like other countries have got a better grasp on things than what the United States has, because um, we have the ability to choose to do things a lot more than the other
Mm-hmm.
countries that are more socialist um, or fall under some type of dictatorship.
Mm-hmm. Um, how has the military been affected by COVID-19?
Military's been affected because you cannot. Groups are no longer able to assemble, move, work in the workplaces together. Right now, they're continuing to do social distancing because they're still part of the federal government. Those that work in buildings together, again, work from home. They have computer laptops to the best of their extent. I'm sure that they have minimizing um, the amount of personnel coming in to work, similar to my organization, which is part of the federal government. Um, and their commanders have the um, right to increase the amount of people that come in as they see the situation getting safer.
Okay. Do you think our country is more vulnerable to war now, or being more vulnerable to getting attacked because of COVID-19 has weakened us?
I think that the whole world is suffering from COVID-19. I don't think it's just the United States thing. If some country ends up starting something, or if some terrorist organization comes out and starts something, they could just be caught up in COVID, no different than any of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, do I think it's safer? I think that there um, are some intelligence things that could be missing with just the transition of from one president to the other. But um, enemies are always plotting against the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is when you're the big boy on the block, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union.
Yeah. So you do believe that other countries are handling COVID-19 better than we are?
At least the information that they're reporting is showing that they're doing more, and some people are making hard decisions, whether they like it or not. But, for example, in Korea, South Korea, that uh, they didn't let the COVID-19 get out of control. They got on it immediately, and they were able to keep the numbers down by actually identifying the person and all the people and all the tracing that's associated with that person that was identified with COVID. So yes, they've done a lot better job of that.
Mm-hmm. Some countries are implementing chips so they can put it in people so they can like tell if you're sick or not, or like tell like what diseases are coming up in the future and everything. Do you think that those chips would be okay, and would you take a chip?
I don't think that anyone in the United States will take a chip because they do not want um, the government monitoring them or someone misusing those chips to gain information about you.
Yeah. Do you think that chip may be the mark of the beast?
I do not think the chip will be the mark of the beast. I think that people can misuse that chip to gain information about you.
Yeah. Do you think social media has blown COVID-19 out of proportion, or what?
Again, I think that you have religion versus science that's going on. You have media, which is reporting and doing what they're supposed to be doing, reporting information to the public. Some information that's being reported to the public is slanted towards either religious or towards scientific solutions to COVID-19. So, yes, there's probably misinformation that's coming out on both sides.
Yeah. So do you think dealing or like coronavirus spikes has to do with politics a lot? Like Democrat, Republican, or do you think it's just the people?
I think that coronavirus has to do with people and what people has accepted when they grew up in life. What's their social means? Sometimes it's tied to how a person lives or works, um, especially if we're talking about lower class jobs. So you can say that's part of some type of social class system, whether that's Democratic or Republican. That's to be seen, since you have both Democrats and Republicans that are both on various levels of the social classes.
Mm-hmm. What do you think Texas will look like after COVID-19 is over with?
Taxes are eventually going to have to come back up, because you cannot continue to cut taxes and not have anyone pay taxes. And then you have things such as roadways, such as any social systems put in place to help people. If taxes don't go back up, you're basically going to be at some point headed towards the wild, wild west again. Everyone fends for themselves,
Mm-hmm.
whether they like it or not. Plus, you'll have a lot more people that's probably going to be out on the street looking for jobs or homeless.
Mm-hmm. Do you think the United States people should continue receiving stimulus checks, or do you think that they shouldn't be receiving anymore?
So people are hurting out there right now, whether you see them or not see them. You only can, if part of your life is focused around the basic needs, food, shelter, clothing, and water. Without those, it's very difficult to live. And if no one's going to provide that assistance and takes away some of those things from you, again, it's going to be hard to live. So yes, I think there is going to be some type of need to get some assistance out to people, because once, again, the Christmas season goes away, or once the holiday season goes away, people are going to go back to their norm of, I don't care about you. You're living out on the street. That's nice.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're less vulnerable to coronavirus considering that you don't live in a city?
No, I think that coronavirus can be spread by anyone at any time, at any place. You always have to be aware. You need to do what you need to do to try to prevent yourself from getting it.
Mm-hmm. What precautions have you taken around your house to avoid coronavirus?
Disinfectant, minimizing the people that come over to the house. And the people who do come over to the house, you try to sit outside in an open space.
Mm-hmm. So you do believe a change of leadership will be good for getting rid of COVID-19?
I think that the way that we're currently going down the path of letting natural progression, meaning death of people that are unfortunate, happen, is not human.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So to answer your question, yes, there needs to be a change of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's no leadership going on right now.
So they say like the death percentage of COVID-19 is like less than 1%. Do you think that would change if we never like resolve it and like stop it while the cases are low and everything?
I think that COVID-19 will continue to spread. It's probably going to spread a lot more in the wintertime, because you have the normal flu. You have other circumstances that people have, such as heart problems, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, other ailments, which COVID-19 is just going to continue to assist and stress those things. Those aren't going away. It's just the disease has to get to that person for that effect to take place.
Okay. And at your age, do you fear COVID-19 will affect you more than it will others?
I feel that COVID-19 will affect older people, and it's shown that it's affected older people and minorities a little bit more than others.
Yeah. Why do you think it affect minorities more?
It probably affects minorities more because they have quite a few issues, such as high blood pressure, such as high cholesterol, such as could have heart problems, could have other underlying things similar to that COVID-19 will just aggravate their current situation.
Okay. This is my last question, and then we're done. Do you have any, or not question, but do you have, yeah, question. Do you have any advice for anyone out here or everyone out here for COVID-19? And do you basically have any advice for people not to get it and everything?
So first of all, everyone needs to start taking COVID-19 seriously. If it wasn't important, it would not be on the news. It would not be enforced throughout each state. It would not be enforced throughout each local government that's trying to help people get through this situation. If it wasn't real, people would not be dying. So people need to take things serious. They need to wear their masks. They need to listen to what the CDC is saying on different throughout their different models that they're putting out. People need to respect other people's space that they live in. They have a right to live, so they need to take this serious. If you want to see your grandparents, parents, siblings, someone in the future, it can wait that 6 months versus you seeing them right now and then they're gone in 3 weeks. People need to take stuff serious.
Yeah. Well, that wraps it up. Thank you for your time.